Good evening and welcome to the show. It's great to have all of you with us. It's a success in business. Yeah, I said it. A business success. One you rarely hear people talk about, but one that is proving to make a difference in the grocery market. And of course, 30 years ago, it started out as an idea. And despite the challenges and the obstacles that it's faced, 30 years later, it's proving to still be around and as popular as you could possibly imagine. Winston Pinnock is behind the business JBI, Jamaica Bahama Imports. And their story is so unique, it will perhaps encourage most of you, if not all of you, sitting down to want to go and pursue your vision and dream of owning your business. Tonight on The Rundown, we talk to him one-on-one to find out how did he make it 30 years later. What were the struggles? How did he overcome those struggles in an arena where it seems to be a particular closed environment for certain people? Yet, he was able to penetrate it and continues to prove that it is successful. With his business in 2 locations, Grand Bahama and New Providence, the capital, he's one of those success stories that we tout about Bahamian businesses. When we come back on The Rundown tonight, we find out the secret to 30 years of success in the food business. What works, what doesn't work. Get your notepads out, get your pens out. If you are a budding entrepreneur, this is a show for you on how to survive in challenging times. You're watching The Rundown. We're back right after this.
Another JBI product. It's browning. What do you do with browning? You use it in your rice, you use it in your soup, you use it even on your meat. Browning gives a rich, flavorful taste. And brown color, look what we have. JBI kidney beans. Put them in your rice with your browning.
My parents and I have been using this drink for over a year now.
I have benefits and benefits that I'll drink it every day if I could.
Try JBI. Happy anniversary, JBI.
Here's to 30 years! Woo!
Thank you, Bahamas.
That's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah.
Hi, JBI.
I so love your products. Your kidney beans, they're rich and authentic. I love the coconut taste. I love the coconut smell. I use it for my rice all the time. Every Sunday is my Sunday's product. Guess what? This is all we use. We love the pigeon peas and coconut milk. We love the red kidney beans and coconut milk. Peas and rice, that's the only thing that we use. Thank you so much for being here.
I must say, out of the many products that they have, this has to be my favorite one. It's very refreshing, and it would be my first choice of drink.
Try JBI.
Happy 30th anniversary, JBI.
Happy anniversary, JBI. Congratulations, JBI, on your 30th anniversary of being in the Bahamas. Happy 30th anniversary, JBI.
Thank you, Bahamas.
Losing your furniture to costly termite damage? You need Rentokil Initials Drop-and-Go Furniture Fumigation, the only service like it in the Bahamas. Simply drop your furniture at a fumigation container located at 5th Terrace, Centerville, and collect your termite-free piece within days, sealed with our termite-free guarantee. Fast, convenient, affordable. When it comes to complete termite eradication, there's only one name, Rentokil Initial.
Welcome back to the show. Special good night to all of you joining us on social media, whether it's YouTube or whether it's in the Lions Den on Facebook. Good to have you in the rundown. This is a lesson tonight, I believe, that can help so many people, empower so many people who are new into business or looking for ways and tips to succeed. We're talking about a business that is celebrating 30 years of its existence, having not closed its door once since being open, and of course the success story as to how it happened in the grocery business. They've come into your homes for many years, helping you make those wonderful native dishes that have so much flavor to it. And because of their products, Bahamians seem to be great cooks. We're talking about JBI, Jamaica Bahama Imports. Tonight, the owner and the CEO of that company is here to talk about their success some 30 years later in a market where he had to fight to get his market share. Please welcome my guest tonight to the rundown, Winston Pinnock. So great to have you. Welcome to the show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
30 years.
30 years.
That's older than many people.
Yes.
That's older than many people.
Three decades. But you know,
3 decades.
Firstly, I want to take the opportunity to thank the Bahamian people because without their patronage, JBI would not have become a household name. I obviously and always am grateful to Almighty God because without His providing health and strength to myself, my wife, my dear wife, and the team, we would not have been able to make it. So having said that, we are indeed on the 13th of this month, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Wow.
And yes,
on the 13th?
On the 13th of October.
That was my birthday.
Yes.
So no wonder your success.
On the 13th of October, 1994, we got started officially. I would want to say at the onset that I have, in recent times, over the last few years, since the company has grown significantly and more of our products are seen, we have almost 170 products in stores.
170 products,
yes,
just about.
Just about. Some of our, depending on season, some things go and come, but that's the number.
Where would you have started with? How many products you started out with?
We started out with 6 food items. None of them were branded JBI.
Wow.
But we have 170 JBI branded products.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's significant growth.
So what I would like to do tonight, Clint, is over the last few years, I have met countless Bahamians who are familiar with my story because of how I started and how small the operation was. And people from City Market and back in the days who have stopped me on the road or reached out to me in any places and said, look, keep doing what you're doing. What you do inspires me or inspires us, and that kind of sentiment. And it reminded me in recent times when I've had thoughts of, you know, selling out or whatever, of the value, especially for people who look like me, of staying in the game and continuing to press on. But the company started in 1994. And I tell you a very, very brief story. My parents are Jamaican nationals. They migrated to Freeport, Grand Bahama in the early 60s during the construction boom in Freeport. And so without them, Wesley Pinnock, my father who has passed since 2017, and my mom who's still alive, without them, I would not have had the opportunity to get the exposure that I did to be able to, because the truth is, the secret to JBI is it's really birthed out of 2 cultures. My background, of course, having been born in Grand Bahama in West End, my mother insisted, though they lived in the Bahamas, that when I was about 5 years old or so, that she wanted me to go to school in Jamaica. And of course, I went to primary and high school there. And so I spent a total of about 12 years all told living in Jamaica and of course, experiencing the culture.
Yeah.
And that, I met during high school other Bahamians who were going to West Indies College. And as you know, there are many, many of our people as Bahamians who go to Jamaica to school,
Correct.
to the University of West Indies and so on. So the one thing we had in common, those of us who had the privilege of living and doing school in Jamaica, was that we loved Jamaican food. So having that background, when I came back home and worked at, well, I had a few small jobs, but I joined the police force in 1988. And when I joined the police force, I came back to Grand Bahama. I've always loved Grand Bahama, so I came back. And at church one day, at Freeport Bible Church, a friend of mine who has Jamaican heritage, she's Bahamian but has Jamaican heritage, talked about how scarce it was to find these
ingredients.
Well, not just ingredients, the products at the time.
Right.
Unique Jamaican products like jerk and some of the curry and other things. And so I credit God with giving me that idea in that parking lot to say, you know, we should seek to import these products. And so eventually, a few years in as a police officer, I actually thought about the idea that I had a few years ago and decided that I would start the business. But guess what? I was in George T. Baker Aviation. I was a policeman. I had a study leave. And I was in Baker Aviation studying avionics and enjoying myself. I was working with Sir Freddie Laker at Laker Airways. I'd met him when I was working one day at the airport and in Grand Bahama and solicited a job because I knew I was planning to go off to school. And so he agreed. And so here's what changed my life. Here's what really took the turn to business. I decided that one day I was in Fort Lauderdale and my boss at the time assigned me to drive Sir Freddie Laker around. He was doing a documentary on his life. And those who know the success story of Sir Freddie Laker, I mean, it's an amazing story, from rags to riches. And so I listened as the cameramen, as the interviews were taking place out on the airfield and sharing his story, how he traded and made money in the aviation business and eventually developed an international airline. And I went back to the hangar, and I started thinking about my dream of being an engineer, an aircraft engineer. And I noted that as much as I was in love with that the engineers would all complain about going up to Memphis in the cold and New York to work on these planes when they broke down. And yes, they had a good lifestyle, nice homes, and all the things that you would dream of at that young age. But the one thing I recognize is, you know, something in me, the question I asked myself, do I want to be an engineer and be working for people like Sir Freddie, or do I want to be a Sir Freddie? And so I answered the question that I wanted to be. And so that's so I started really trading during summer with 6 food items and no knowledge of business. I was just doing it at the time to make money to help support myself in school. And so I recognized early on that, you know, I was torn between school and what I started to do and fell in love with it. And so I eventually to make a long story short, decided that after some negative experiences I had importing products, putting them out in the market, and having larger distribution companies, of which I won't call some names tonight, who would go in, and it wasn't just my story as a young black Bahamian, it was many. I think we had, countless, maybe more than 100 small entrepreneurs running around in their little vans and hustling and selling products. And so when I realized that importing other brands, selling them, you created a market for large companies to go in and say, look, we can do 10 containers a year. And so after we started trading, I think the first line of products that I started was Walker's Wood. And then after we lost that to a company, then we decided to do Grace. And then after we lost that to another popular wholesale company, I teamed up with my Bahamian brother, Sheldon Bullitt, who at the time, because of the struggles I was going through, provided funding to help me stabilize and keep going. I decided that we needed to brand our product because that's the only thing they couldn't, no other company would take that.
Correct.
So branding then, that was the first lesson, was we had to develop a brand. So again, without a wealth of experience in business, we used the name that the company was registered in, Jamaica Bahama Imports, to do the brand. So the brand was Jamaica Bahama Imports, and the hot sauce was the first product we branded. Well, we started to brand other products as we went along, and in the process of branding, we found, yes, that we were able to protect our name and keep our distribution going. But the struggle then came where we could not get into the major food chains.
You couldn't?
Just couldn't get in the major food chains. I must say there was a good gentleman who used to be head of City Market. He's passed away now, used to run the Texacos in Grand Bahama, Mr. Saunders, who sat me down in his station one day in his office in 8 Mile Rock and said, and picked up the phone. When I told him my story, he picked up the phone and called the gentleman who was at the time the head buyer at City Market and said, look, in words that I won't repeat on air, help this young man.
Right.
And put his products in the store. And so that's how we got in. We continued to struggle and continued to grow, ebb and flow over the years since '94. And probably the first 10 years was really up and down. But we came to a crucial point where, having been put in by City Market, we found that the other major companies begin to take us a little more seriously. So we got in to the other major food chain at the time, Super Value, and begin to make progress. We got to a really interesting place, though, where as we begin to brand more products, I realized something that was very, very interesting about our country, and the need, I say, and gave me a passion for Black-owned businesses and to encourage Black-owned entrepreneurs. And I say that in the backdrop that I think our Caucasian counterparts have done well, generally speaking, in business.
Yeah.
And it is not in any way racist or prejudiced to say that having a passion to see people who look like you, who traditionally have not done as well in business, you want to see these success stories. Now, what happened was, as we started expanding, we realized that the doors begin to tighten, if you will. We weren't as welcome to expand and to grow. And so the smaller chains, we had to change our strategy to focus on the mom and pops. And at the time, in the earlier days, there were a lot of small, Bahamian-owned food stores, like the Harding food stores and Courtesies.
Correct.
And so many others. And unfortunately, over the years, as the parents seem to have died out or stepped off the scene, the younger generation seems interested in to just sell out, which is another story. But we got to a place, Clint, where having that struggle to grow and to expand, we got to a place where we actually found favor in the smallest chains and the gas stations and really begin to ramp up and to expand. And so we then decided we would borrow significant monies from the bank to expand. And we got in trouble. We went for a drastic expansion in the early 2000s, around 2010. Well, before the massive expansion, one of the things that we struggled with too was, in Nassau at the time, it was difficult to find location. Right? And renting, which is one of the things I'd like to say to my countrymen, is that when you are in business and you are renting, you want to see how quickly you can get to a point where you can own your own facility.
Yep.
And so we couldn't afford land in Nassau. And so back hometown in Grand Bahama, we pursued the Port Authority at the time to get a piece of property in the commercial area. And one of the visionary things I think we did was to recognize that MSC, over 20 years ago, was setting up hub in Grand Bahama.
Wow.
And they had tentacles all over the world. And so that meant that, unlike the traditional approach, which is to set up in Nassau, we could import goods from all over the world and bring them to Grand Bahama and set up a hub here. that would cost us half of what it would cost to set up in Nassau, because of course you get the duty-free concession
Correct.
and all the benefits
Correct.
of doing business in Grand Bahama. And so that was visionary. Again, a leap of faith. We didn't have the resources at the time, made deposit on a piece of land, and you just kind of, as you went along, the bank came after you got so far.
Right.
All right, so it was always a leap of faith. Here is a powerful story, I think. Probably a game changer. And a lesson that I call a lesson of truth. I got involved politically. I don't know what spirit I was listening to, but I got involved politically in 2000, around 2000. And so I got involved to the point where I became a candidate and, with BJ Nottage and those. And so that was a distraction. The business kept going, but very, very low-keyed and small. And not to say the least, you're involved in politics, you're not just taking up your time, but your resources, whatever.
Of course, of course.
Right?
Number one.
So we drifted off a true line for about 2 or so years. Ran on successfully in Garden Hills. One of the great stories of that venture, though, was that I found my Bahamian sister, I call her Elaine. She was my campaign manager in my effort to run, and her daughter, who was in high school at the time, who is now our VP of operation, while in high school started to work for us part-time. Wow. And so eventually, that one of the many success stories was that that relationship developed to someone who's been in the business now for almost a quarter century and has been a critical part of helping us to grow. And so the story goes that after a failed election, after literally being bankrupt, meaning we had less money in the bank and less money that people owed us than we owed, and so we were faced with a very, very challenging situation of whether we could continue in business.
Wow.
And at that critical moment, I said that, and I mean that the Lord gave me a vision. We looked at one of the most popular products that we sold at the time, coconut milk.
Coconut milk?
Yes, coconut milk.
Famous coconut milk.
Famous coconut milk. It wasn't as famous then, but the brand that was popular at the time was Roland. And we looked at coconut milk. We were buying from a company in Florida, and as a lot of Bahamians, and large companies still do today, we're buying from a distributor in Florida. Of course, they're getting it from the factory, so we're buying third hand. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, you look at these products, they're made in Thailand. And so I think, I said, I didn't say I think, I said the Lord is leading me to go, for us to go to Thailand and find a factory to get these products so we could import them directly into the Bahamas. Well, of course, you know, she wondered if I was crazy because we had no money. I don't know if we could even afford, at the time, we couldn't really afford to have a plane ticket and all the things we needed to go to Thailand. But there was a company called Arrow Travel Service on Village Road, the Highlands. And in my years of doing business, we would credit tickets from them to travel to Jamaica and to go to the US. And so they were my go-to. And I had a little credit, pay my bill at the end of the month. And so I took a leap of faith and asked, with my wife's support, the Highlands to credit us 2 tickets, because I determined that I wouldn't go by myself. The tickets cost $1,450 each. And they were gracious enough, after a failed election and no money, to credit us 2 tickets to go to Thailand. So we started looking at the internet to search to find companies. It was kind of difficult finding a company. The people didn't speak English and all that, those challenges. But we pressed on nonetheless. Eventually, we flew to Thailand with $500 in our pocket.
Wow.
And of course, we got a hotel and our airfare paid on credit. Do you believe, Clint, in miracles? Well, here's a miracle for you. On arriving in Thailand, the morning after we got there and got up from our hotel, I said to my wife, that company, we had a person who would speak Thai language and Thai and who would take us around. And so I said to them, call the company, one of these companies that we kept calling, and the people wouldn't, they said they don't speak English, so we couldn't have a communication. And so the lady called, and sure enough, someone was there who spoke English. And when they found out we were all the way from the Bahamas, they sent a limo to pick us up.
Wow.
We met with their vice president at the time, and do you believe, as we sat down to meet, they had a massive display of products that they made for major American companies. In the middle of that display, what did we see? We saw the coconut milk that we were distributing in the Bahamas, that we were getting from a company in Florida. Wow. And it was a great quality product, which meant that we were landed right in, of the hundreds of factories there, right in the place that we needed to be.
Wow, talk about divine intervention.
That was absolutely divine intervention. And that was the beginning of all the great things that happened in JBI.
That's amazing. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you touched on about being able to evolve despite challenges. What were some of your keys that you can share with other entrepreneurs on how you navigate through difficult times? Watching the rundown, we're back after this. Stay close.
The sugar, to the jam, to the pigeon peas and coconut milk.
I love JBI products. My favorite product is the ginger tea.
My favorite item would be the peas and coconut milk. For today, I'm trying out their white cane sugar. I want to say,
I've been buying this now for 5 years. It gives me a good kick in the morning.
Whenever my mommy cooks, she must and will put the JBI corn inside my tuna and rice.
Anytime I make my sky juice, I always use JBI condensed milk. It's really good.
All of the products are exceptional.
Try JBI. Happy anniversary, JBI.
Happy 30th year anniversary, JBI. Happy 30th anniversary, JBI.
Thank you, Bahamas.
I like reggae scrape. I like junk and rope. Oh, with a collect gold and a right love for my boat. Yeah, I like Johnny Cake. Yeah, where my fish do. What I don't need all that bird. That don't make a show. Yeah, I like the beach, but I don't go in water. Just grab me a collect. That's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hardware is the helpful place. Everything you need under one roof, from electrical, paint, plumbing, outdoor, barbecue, automotive, lawn and garden, pet supply, houseware, and seasons. Hurricane season is now here, so for all your hurricane needs, we have a 25% off bargain zone.
Hey, thanks. I would have given more stuff, but I didn't bring my money. I thought this was a club, and I thought everything was free. Finally know what it is now. Ace.
We're located on St. Albans Drive, West Bay Street, open Monday to Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and closed for lunch 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Welcome back to The Rundown. We're talking to businessman Mr. Winston Pinnock, who of course is the owner and operator of JBI, Jamaica Bahama Imports. And of course, that's the company where you look on the shelves in the food store. It's where you go for that coconut milk, the coconut milk with the peas, green peas, coconut all water. Those, all of those products that people love and enjoy. It's right here in the Bahamas. And coming back from the break, you were telling us about really how you got started and how you got to where you were. What were the challenges you faced in having to get this company in 30 years to a place where it could be self-sufficient and do well? What were some of the challenges you encountered over the years?
Well, of course, we talked earlier about some of them, but funding, you know, I've come 180 degree on this principle of funding being challenges to Bahamian business, and it is. But the principle that I learned is that great ideas will always attract funding. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter of using whatever you have at your disposal. I have a famous saying that I always quote to my staff, and that is to ride the horse you're on. I mean, you can't make blood out of stone. You have to be able to use the resource that you have in your hands to be able to build on that and to develop that. So while, again, you listen to most Bahamian business people, small business people, and the challenge is always going to be funding. But having a great idea, one of the things I think, and I see this in our young politicians as well, and it's a miserable failure when you don't get this. The Bible says in Proverbs 11:14 that where there is no counsel, the people perish, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. One of the principles I applied early in business was to sit at the feet of the Jerome Majors, who owned Centerville Food, Ferguson, who owned Fergie's, the Careys, all of the older men, Bahamian men, that were succeeding and successful in retail food business. I took the opportunity to go in their stores while we were trying to sell them products and ask them, how you got started? How you overcome this? What did you do here? And I found that those principles still live with me today. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I mentioned politicians because, again, that's another area of my life, and that's a miserable failure for people on both sides that I see, where you have people who have walked that journey before, or maybe not necessarily in politics, but in life experience. And those who are younger tend not to want to listen or to take counsel from people who have experience. So if in business, if you learn to find people who have walked the road before, you will overcome a lot of the pitfalls. Yeah. So in a very practical way, one of the things I can think about is we, as a people of African descent, I think we still struggle to partner with each other. I talked earlier about my brother Sheldon, who helped in the early stages to help me when we were struggling, and there were others. But there was a pivotal point also when, after the Thailand experience had brought us to another level and we started to grow, we were competing with some of the major food distributors who, unfortunately, I was told more recently by one of the major food outlets that support our business that we are the largest, in terms of volumes of business that we do and branding of products, we're the largest black-owned wholesale business in terms of volume of business in the country, and I didn't know that, right? I know we were one of a few. But partnering, I met a friend of mine at Bahamas Faith Ministries at the time, and that was another place, an environment on the Miles Monroe that we got a lot of great principles, not just about life, but doing business. And John Gibson said to me one day, he said, you know, I admire your success so far in business, and we were only small, had a team of maybe 6 or 7 people. And he said he had an idea of some stuff he wanted to do. And I had a vision to launch the peas line. We hadn't done that yet. And I said to him, John, what you are trying to do, I don't think that would be the best thing. So you wouldn't get the best success and profit from it. I said, I have an idea to launch this line of peas. Why don't you fund it? And I'll use my business to guarantee that, you know, the money you put in, and we'll share the profits. And we did, and he did. In fact, I never forget, he wrote a check for tens of thousands of dollars, gave it to me and never even asked for a contract. And so for years, that line of product was being distributed by us, and the profits were being shared with us, until he migrated to the US, and you know, he needed his capital and to do some other things that he wanted to. And so that was a lesson for me of the value of partnering, so that you don't have to want to do it all by yourself. 10% of a company that's worth $10 million is better than 100% of a company that's worth $1 million. Wow. And so that's the lesson I'd like to share with our people, the value of finding credible people and partnering. We moved from having that hub in Grand Bahama in 2006 that we opened. When we opened it, another lesson I think would be useful for young Bahamian entrepreneurs is not to be risk evasive, to take risks. And that is, we invested significant sums of money at the time that we could least afford in doing an opening. So we had ZNS, Love 97. I wasn't live TV, but we had the ZNS Love 97 at the time, and we catered and put on a nice opening for the facility. Well, guess what? At that opening, there was the bank representative at the time, we were with First Caribbean, that we flew in, and we took the cost of all this. My former political leader, B.J. Nottage, we got a Western Air plane, and time they had these 33-seater plane. And so we flew in people from Nassau to the opening, and of course we invited people from here. Mr. Gray was at the Port Authority at the time, and he was also very instrumental in helping us. He was president of the Port Authority in acquiring the land that we used to build. And so we put on an opening. It was broadcast on radio live, cost us more than we could afford, but the PR from that opening and the people from City Market who showed up to the opening, when they saw how impressive it was for a small business doing what we were doing and the products we were putting on and the type of things that we did at that opening, immediately following the closing ceremony, the opening ceremony, I was pulled into a meeting and they said, look, we think the company is looking at importing some special products and we think you can do this. You know, you seem impressive, and of course we were too happy to take it on. And again, I turned to my dear brother Sheldon to get some funding. We needed a few $100,000 to fund that project. And so we partnered again to get the container loads of product that City Market head office in Nassau needed at the time. And I keep going back to that because it's a pivotal point of growth and development in our country. It was the first time we had a sale 1 year from one company for over $1 million. Didn't know what that was like before. And we grew tremendously during that period. And so all those lessons that I talk about really helped me to appreciate the value of, one, taking counsel, two, partnering with other trustworthy people. And that's a pivotal part of taking us to where we got to be.
We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we want to talk about some of the initiatives that you've done as a company to not only get from people, but you're giving back to people. And you're giving back. We see your products in the stores, but you're also helping to build a society. We'll talk about that in our final segment when we come back. You're watching The Rundown. We're back after this. Stay close.
Gives a rich, flavorful taste and brown color. Look what we have. JBI kidney beans. Put them in your rice with your browning.
My parents and I have been using this drink for over a year now.
I have benefits and benefits that I'll drink it every day if I could.
Try JBI.
Happy anniversary, JBI.
Have some 30 years. Woo!
Thank you, Bahamas.
I like records great. I like John Cano. Oh, with a collect gold and a right love for my boat. Yeah, I like Johnny K. Yeah, with my fish too. What I don't need all that burn. That don't make a show. Yeah, I like the beach, but I don't go in water. Just grab me a collect. That's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No. Let me go check it out.
Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs. Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the Sunshine Room.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look.
We're still your most trusted source for news and information.
That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
That's the bear of the Bahamas. I like to go down. Oh yeah.
Keep the bad king
We are going to ensure and make sure that this is your last time here.
Welcome back. On its 30th anniversary celebrating this month, JBI, Jamaica Bahama Imports, continues to not only provide wholesome food for the Bahamian people to make those delicious dishes, but also is busy and involved in giving back. A recent initiative solidified that as they celebrate the anniversary to ensure that giving back was a part of the hallmark of the company. Take a look.
In celebration of 30 years as a household staple in Bahamian homes and on grocery store shelves, Jamaica Bahama Imports is donating $5,000 to the Grand Bahama Resilience Center. The donation supports the center's mission of helping Bahamians overcome the challenges they face. Winston Pinnock, owner and founder of Jamaica Bahama Imports, says Grand Bahama needs all hands on deck to continue the journey of recovery and rebound to its former state before the devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian.
I have observed since the storm of 2019 that firsthand the efforts that they've put in, them and their team, in meeting the needs of people who are struggling on this island, and especially in mental challenges after the depressing experiences of the residents of Grand Bahama. And so we believe that it is fitting for us in this season of celebration after 30 years in business and being supported by the Bahamian society community to do these contributions, but particularly to the Resilience Center today. And we want corporate Bahamas to step up, not only those in Grand Bahama, but in the Bahamas.
Executive Director of the Grand Bahama Resilience Center, Felicia McBride, shares her gratitude for the donation.
We like to say that our services are free to the public, but they come at a cost, and so we are so grateful when corporate Grand Bahama sees the work that we do, and like Mr. Pinnock says, put their money where their mouth is. And so we're grateful for this. This will go a long way in helping us to continue our mission.
Okay, just one of the many initiatives that you've done over 30 years to support. Why is that important for you as a company to be able to give back and invest in the community?
You know, it's a part of our vision and who we are about. And we've done this quietly for years. My wife, for example, Delia, has made it a business to contribute to the Grand Bahama Children's Home. For years, she's done that. very rarely do we have a camera moment. I think when we had the 25th anniversary and now, and Dudley Sades Reach Out Ministry, and several other organizations that are impacting the lives of people. It's corporate responsibility, and it's also a part of who we are as people of faith. And so that is just second nature to give back. And also, we, in celebration of our 30th anniversary, one of the things that we did was took our management team of 7 persons and the sales team, so I think it was a team of 14 altogether, 8 and others, to Jamaica a few weeks ago. We actually celebrated our 30th anniversary there, because that's where the vision started. Not the place it started in Freeport, but we started bringing in Jamaican products. And it's a fascinating destination. I thought they would enjoy it. And so we went and had a retreat there, wonderful time. And on the 13th was a Sunday, so we went to church and gave God thanks for all his goodness. And so it's just, like I said, a part of our responsibility, corporately and personally.
You've grown from just importing these products into the Bahamas. You're now in other markets. Talk to us about that.
So JBI, and that's one of the joys. A friend of mine came to Atlanta a few years ago and called, and he was just screaming on the phone. And I was saying, what happened? And he's like, I see JBI in Atlanta. Yes. So we had set up a couple of years ago a branch in Atlanta. We actually now have footprint in the US, in Canada, through a distribution company. In the UK, they distribute 2 of our products in the UK, and in Jamaica as well. We have a distribution company that we sell to. So we have, and this concept of reaching the world, really, I think I got that at Bahamas Faith Ministry, being under Miles Monroe and his outreach. I told him many years back before he passed away, I said, just how you sell books throughout the world, I'm going to sell products. So we've lived that dream. I think it's important, as we share about the staff and the giving and all the things that we've done and we've been privileged to do, that without the support of the Bahamian people buying the brand, and one of the secrets, we wouldn't be where we are, and one of the secrets, I believe, to our success has been that I gave tribute a few days ago to Miss Naomi Seymour, former senator, who was one of the old people the more mature people that cooked amazing dishes, Bahamian cooks, that we used to proof products. So when we decided, we were the first in the world to put out green pigeon peas in coconut milk. The first in the world, nowhere else, as far as I know to this day. We developed a concept of simply merging 2 products, just like the Jamaica-Bahama story. We decided, we had coconut milk, there was coconut milk in the market, there was peas, and we approached a factory. And they'll manufacture what you want. If you give them a formula, they'll formulate things. But in the process of formulation, like with the coconut water, which took 2 years to develop, and that's why we have the best-selling coconut water in the country by far. But we approach household cooks, we use the staff as well, to vet products. So during the testing phase, while the products are not made in the Bahamas, they're developed by Bahamians. So it's created and formulated to the Bahamian flavor. So that is the secret to us putting products in the marketplace that is a hit. And one of the tremendous blessings, a friend of mine, Sandy Sawyer, said to me a year ago or so, he said, the brand is worth much more than all the buildings you have and all that. I want to also say, in giving back, one of the things that I'm very proud of is the fact that there are many, and I'll name 2 of them, Peter Taylor and Sandy Sawyer, Bahamian business owners who came along after we started, and I had the privilege of providing some support to them with our products. So for example, Peter came to us years ago when he was starting out Express and said, look, I'd like to get all the products you carry, but you're going to have to give us extended credit. And we were happy to do that. Because for me, and they have far surpassed, both of them have far surpassed us in terms of their expansion and growth. But that's not the point. We are a success in what we do. The point is to be able to not just succeed and make a lot of money, but to reach back and to reach out wherever there's an opportunity to help others who are venturing in whatever field they're venturing in, that you can be of support to. Because I think the joy of living is more than just making a lot of money.
Right.
There was a quote that Bob Marley said many decades ago that I still quote today. He said in an interview when he was asked, how do you manage to give out so much money to the people in your community? And how do you expect to save and to maintain your wealth? And he said something very interesting to the reporter. He said, my life really means nothing to me if I can't help other people. And I think if there's a lesson when I'm dead and gone that I'd like to leave, is the fact that, and that's why I've been involved politically as well, my passion is to serve others and do it in a tangible way. I'm very strict and very, if you talk to my staff, you know, I'm not an easy cookie to deal with. When time to work is time to work, and I demand excellence wherever I go and whatever service I give, even if it's in church. And I've had leadership, been privileged to have leadership in church, in ministry, in business, in politics, and I don't apologize for demanding excellence. And people won't always like you, but for me, the fulfillment is getting the job done. And so I simply say that I would love to see more of us live our lives in a way where you are impacting the lives of others in a tangible way. And that is how you pass on to the next generation a legacy, not just of financial wealth, but more importantly, the spirit of each one reaching one.
I'll close with this. What can we expect from this successful company for the future?
At 30 years in, I'm convinced that while there's some left in me, yes, and growing from here is easier because we've become a household name thanks to the Bahamian people, and we are committed to continuing to put out excellent products. Over the next 5 years, I think we could double what we do. But there is going to be tremendous growth from JBI. Notwithstanding some of the obstacles, we're at the mercy of our retailers, you know, but my strategy is if one company doesn't buy from us, the other one will, and we're going to put products out in the market and the Bahamian people will choose, and they've already chosen, and we're grateful for the choice they've made in choosing JBI. And one last thing I want to say to the Bahamian consumer, and that is we are determined to lower the cost of food for our people. And we have the ability to do that because we are going directly into the sources, into factories worldwide. We import from 23 countries worldwide, and we'll continue to expand our footprint and to ensure that there is the best food prices in the country.
Winston Penna, congratulations on a product that's working, products that are working, and for your footprint here in the country. We certainly appreciate it and appreciate you coming and run down to talk to us about it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. All the best
nice
to you.
Being here.
That's our show. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure, of course, to stay tuned to the 11 o'clock news with Royston Jones, who's in the building. He'll have the latest of news and information. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night.
We are here in the time of need. There's no discrimination. The mission is to relieve the suffering. We volunteer, we deliver care. With donors and partners, we're always here to turn compassion into action. Protecting life and health with our training throughout the years. We empower to heal the world. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer with us and donate to show you care. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer dream. Together, let's build a more resilient Bahamas.
This message brought to you by the Bahamas Red Cross Society in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Did you know that if a fire starts in your home, you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape? Keep your family and home safe with these few fire safety preparation and prevention tips. Ensure that your home has working smoke detectors. They will alert you if there is smoke and fire in your home. Install a smoke detector on every level of your home, inside each bedroom and outside each sleeping area. Test smoke detectors every month and change the batteries every 6 months. Home fires can spread rapidly and every second counts. Create an escape plan and practice it with everyone in your home. Make sure everyone can safely escape in less than 2 minutes. Keep escape routes as clutter-free as possible so no one trips or falls on the way out during an emergency. In addition to smoke detectors, fire extinguishers is an important device to have on hand. To use a fire extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side at the base of the fire. We must all do our parts to ensure that our families and homes are safe in the event a fire occurs. On behalf of the Commissioner of Police, the Director of Fire Services, and all officers of the Fire Department, let's work together to help prevent fires, because fire safety is everyone's responsibility, and the life you save may be your own.
What does disability look like? In a busy airport terminal? At the check-in counter? At security checkpoints? Or even in baggage claim? Passengers with hidden disabilities often go unnoticed. Globally, 1 in 7 persons have some form of a disability. 80% of those disabilities are non-visible. In an airport environment, workers are often unaware of hidden physical, mental, or neurological disabilities that some passengers live with. This can lead to frustration and a less than ideal travel experience. So, how do we make the invisible more visible? At LPIA, we've implemented the Sunflower Lanyard program. The lanyards are visual cues for airport workers to immediately identify passengers who might need additional assistance. NAD is teaming up with the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities and key stakeholders at LPIA to launch the internationally recognized initiative. We're joining more than 180 airports in 26 countries already in the program. NAD is the first organization in the Bahamas to recognize the Sunflower Initiative. It's a way to show our continued commitment to making LPIA a safe, welcoming, and inclusive airport for all. Passengers needing to secure a free Sunflower lanyard can email sunflower@nas.bs or call 1242-397-8600. For more information, visit